Today is a bit of a homage to Tadej Pogacar, who is fast writing himself into the history books and proving to be an all-round cycling legend. Here are 5 upgrades that you can make to your cycling world that mean you don't have to go out and buy a Colnago V4 RS. Guys, welcome back to the WattLife. Let's roll. Not everyone is going to feel comfortable turning up to their club ride in a Team Emirates yellow jersey. And personally, I think a V4 RS is a little bit outside of my budget. Here's 5 things ranging from £2.99 up to £450 that you can buy that can put you in the realms of Tadej Pogacar. I just want to say that these products have been provided to the WattLife for entertainment purposes, so I can take you through them, give you my own thoughts and feelings. And let's kick things off with the most expensive item on our list, which is Pogacar's signature shoe from DMT. Now, when it comes to cycling, I always kind of profess that my interest is more in style and enjoyment than it necessarily is in speed and performance. And this is, as I will show you in a second, hopefully something that you will see can combine the two. As far as shoes go though, they do sit at the pricey end of the shoe spectrum, and for good reason, and we'll take you through it. If you find that you are getting pain in your feet when you are out cycling, the best thing you can do is going to a bike fit shop who will measure the size of your foot and recommend some of the brands that have the right width of shoe for you. But if I look at this shoe, I can see that it has a knit upper, which actually provides a bit more flexibility and a bit more room for your foot to slip into. So if you do have a wider foot and you have a knit upper, it's actually going to be a little bit more comfortable. Having a sexy shoe is certainly not going to make you any quicker, but it will certainly help your social media pop. And I really like the design of these. Before we dive into the other features that I like about this, let me just take you through some of the pricings. This shoe is actually available in a poggy pink and a poggy yellow, which actually costs a little bit more, around £450, which is, in my opinion, a ton of money to be spending on cycling shoes, but they are very stylish and they do have a few key features that tie them back to Tadej himself. This is also not only just a styling feature, but there is a little something in here called an NFC that you can log your data into digitally. So if you do have an accident out on the road, someone can come along and scan this on your foot and you'll get all your kind of safety information, personal information, your emergency contact and things like that. I think it's a great idea, but obviously you need people to understand that this particular product has it. But anyway, it is there if you want to use it. I kind of like these because they have that kind of lacing style to it. And when I first got into cycling, I was kind of a little bit obsessed with the shoelace concept of cycling shoes. I just think they look very cool, but I found that the long shoelaces would often kind of just get in the way a little bit. Not such a problem as you have a little space to tuck away your pull string that make these nice and kind of comfy and just sits underneath and kind of stops you losing any watts through any missed aero gains. The other thing I like about it is that it has a knit upper. Now these shoes are actually quite light. This is 260 grams, this one, obviously without any cleats in. But the knit upper means that if you have a narrow foot, there's probably a little bit more give in it than like a really hard, firm leather and other synthetic materials. These knit uppers tend to have a bit more give in them. It does mean that if you are someone that really likes to crank their shoes down for like a hard, fast race or doing a particularly kind of like hard hill effort, then this probably might not lock it in quite as firm, but from a style perspective, they are just, I think they're gorgeous. I like the kind of orange laces on the white look. And if anything, you know, I think Tadej Pogacar has brought his own style to the peloton. He's someone that kind of gravitates towards products that he likes to use, not necessarily is kind of forced to use, as we will see later on the list. But these kind of get a big tick from me, but they are quite expensive. Like I said, these are £370. But they do look absolutely great. So next up we have the Pro Logo Nargo R4 saddle. And I've been running this on the SLC ever since I built it up. I've had to take it off to make this video. This is the carbon rail version. So if you do buy a carbon saddle, you're gonna have to make sure that you've got a carbon saddle clamp for your bike. They are 7x9 rails rather than 7x7 rails, so it is a slightly different shape to it. I'm someone who typically hasn't had to worry about saddles. I've kind of got on with everything. I'm a child of the 80s. I wore really tight and uncomfortable ski boots. I think the last thing I ever kind of tend to worry about is having to sit on something that's kind of designed to be comfortable in the first place. My saddles in the past have tended to be the older school, kind of narrower and longer saddles. So this was a bit of a change to me, being a little bit shorter and a little bit wider. And I have to say that I felt that immediately straight away, and I actually kind of would put that in the good thing bracket because it was a little bit more comfortable. There is a little bit of squish to it that does make it a comfy saddle, and I think this weighs in at 160 grams. I've got on quite well with it because the fact that it is wider kind of makes me feel like I can put more pressure down through it because it just spreads the careful when we're talking about this, but spreads the load of your body weight a little bit wider. And I'm not necessarily, I don't really sit in the lightweight rider for any means, but I'm not quite the heavy rider. But having a wider saddle when I'm up around the 79, 80 kg mark kind of has become something that I've enjoyed, and it has a saddle relief channel in there that I've never really kind of noticed the need for one. I have it, obviously been riding this for the last maybe month or so, and I, hand in the air, quite honestly, I just haven't really noticed that it's been there, which perhaps could be a good thing or a bad thing. This is my first saddle with a channel relief or a relief channel. So I guess the fact that I haven't noticed it's there has meant that nothing's been going wrong. So obviously, I guess it's doing its job. But again, this is a nice little upgrade that you can make, but it does come in at around 180 pounds. And for 160 grams with carbon rails, that is nice and comfy. I'll let you decide as to whether this is an upgrade that you feel like you might want to make for your bike. Like I said, I've typically ridden old school, longer, narrow saddles because that's just what was sold to me when I was buying my bikes many, many years ago. This has been my first foray into the modern world of slightly shorter, slightly wider saddles, especially with that relief channel. And so far, I've got on very well with it. Next up on the list is the Inovit carb gel. And I'm going to rely on my background as a nutritionalist a little bit for this one, because the first thing I'm going to say about this is it actually doesn't matter how many grams of carbohydrate you have in your gels if you don't actually get on well with them and if you don't take them. There's no point of having 5 gels with 40 grams of carbohydrate in each one sat in your back pocket if you never reach around and take them. They have to be something that you actually like the taste of, as well as something that doesn't actually upset your stomach. Working and using gels is very important on the bike because you can see that having a 2-to-1 ratio of glucose to fructose allows them to get 40 grams of carbohydrate into each gel. Now, the interesting thing is when it comes to carbohydrates, we have something called the gut emptying rate. That can be affected by kind of body temperature, outside temperature, how much protein you have had that day. There are a million different things that can affect each person individually when it comes to consuming and using like electrolyte and gel products. So I'll say this, and I'll say it once, and I'll say it firmly. Buy something, try it, use it, and see how you get on with it. The fact that this has 40 grams of carbohydrate and 100 grams of caffeine in it obviously puts it in that box of, yes, this is something that is going to be very useful on the bike. If you like the flavor of it and you get on well with it and you can consume it and you don't mind taking maybe 2 or 3 over the course of an hour-and-a-half, 2-hour ride, if you are pushing nice and hard in a race, then you've found yourself a winner. Caffeine wise, I did a study with the Chelsea and Westminster Hospital many moons ago on pain. I spoke to the doctor and asked him about my caffeine consumption. He was very clear in saying that in actual fact, caffeine is very good as a pain inhibitor. So when you are out cycling, you can kind of see where I'm going with this. The fact that these gels have caffeine in not only acts as a stimulant, but also should help you push a little bit harder because it does actually inhibit a little bit of your pain receptors, when especially, you can see how valuable that is when you're out on the bike. 100 grams of caffeine, is that a lot? I would probably say it is a reasonable amount of caffeine. I think if you are at home making a coffee in the morning, the chances are that you will end up taking, a large coffee that you make yourself, 80 to 100 grams of caffeine. If you buy an energy drink in the store, that's kind of roughly 80 grams of caffeine. So you can see what kind of hit of caffeine you are getting in this, what is this, 60 milliliters of gel. The ratio and the texture of a gel is very important, so these are things that are worth trying. You should really gravitate towards the products that you find that you can palate, that you get on with and you like the taste of. These are cola flavored and I'm looking forward to giving them a go, seeing how I get on with them. So you might be like me and you love Poggy for this very reason, which is it seems like he kind of goes out his way to make little changes to his bike that just fit exactly what he wants, because he puts his performance and ultimately his goals first. And this is a fun one, which is the Absolute Back graphene brake pads. These come in at around 45 to 55 pounds, depending whether you are Shimano or SRAM. This particular one is a SRAM Axis E-Tap pad. I haven't had a chance to use them, but they were popularized when Tadej was spotted using them in the Tour de France. Again, that's kind of 80 to 100 pounds to replace your brake pads front and rear on your bike, which I will leave up to you as to whether that is a good thing or a bad thing. And I know that at this point, we'll have all the rim brake boys saying, well, you know, it's a lot cheaper to replace rim brakes, and I 100% agree with you. But I also like stopping, which is why I do like my disc brakes. Whether that's from high speeds or doing descents, I tend to find that having a rim brake bike was a little bit more sketchy, and I am always very happy when I'm descending at high speeds that I have the ability to brake and brake hard. I haven't had a chance to test them out yet, but I am looking forward to just using them. I think you'd be hard pressed to realize perhaps the actual physical difference, like the real life difference in kind of replacing your brake pads. The fact that you are probably going from old brake pads to new brake pads would probably be the kind of biggest difference you might notice. I'm not an aficionado on braking, and I just want my bike to stop when I want it, and I'm hoping that these do the job. And I am looking forward to not only giving them a go, but just seeing how long they manage to last. And I've got reasonably good wear out of my last set. The last thing you can do to be more Tadej is get yourself some Cycon Aeroscope sunglasses. Now, when it comes to sunglasses, I look for kind of face coverage. I like to have my helmet on, and I like to make sure that my face is pretty well covered to stop the wind from getting in my eyes and making me tear up. So good coverage, a nice fit between the helmet and your forehead, and that's kind of what I look for, and some nice style. I think these kind of tick a good box. You kind of want to look good to ride good and race good. These little bad boys cost £195. You can swap out the lenses for a low light lens. Not only that, but you can also get yourself, when you order a pair, effectively a sunglass bag that doubles up as a saddle bag, which I think is quite handy. So perhaps you could convince yourself that you are just buying a saddle bag with a rather expensive kind of additional item tagged on. As I said, you can swap out the lenses and you can get yourself a low light lens. And I think these are pretty easy to swap out, and it kind of throws you straight into the Tadej Pogacar look and style. All you have to do then is just poke your hair out the top of your helmet and you will kind of be matching him perfectly. So let me know what you think. Are you willing to make a Tadej upgrade? And if you could pick one, which one would it be? Guys, I'm forever grateful that I get to make these videos. And on that note, I need to give this pair of sunglasses away. There are a few rules to it. Please be kind of UK mainland, because I need to send these by post myself. The entries will close end of September. I think it's 31st of September. Leave a comment down below if you would like to receive a brand new pair of sunglasses. I actually have a sunglass sponsor that I ride in regularly, but I did want to share these with you because, for obvious reasons, I will provide you with a pair of sunglasses, a second lens, and the cloth and the saddle bag that come with the Cycon Aerospace. I'm happy to send them to one of you guys. Mainland UK only, end of September. Leave a little bicycle emoji down below. If you've watched this far, then you all deserve a pair of sunglasses, but I can't do that. I can only give away this one exact pair. I will post to one of you guys. A couple of bicycle emojis. Come say hi, guys. Thanks for sticking around. I do appreciate you. I love making these videos. I will see you guys on another one soon.